This is Billy from Planet GameCube. We are. It is the 24th, the first press day, actually the press day of Space World, and we are up in the press room, and we have Kelly here, and J-Dub, and Fletch, and me, and Beth Llewelyn. Hi, Beth.
Hello.
We don't mean to put you on the spot. We'll just pretty much lay back as usual. Who wants to start asking questions for Beth?
Be kind, easy.
We're always kind.
Can I ask a dumb question? Maybe because I'm from Australia, I don't know. But
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Beth, actually, what do you actually do? Like,
I am.
what's your position? I don't know
What do I do? I'm the director of public relations for Nintendo of America. So, working obviously on a lot of the marketing for all of our new products, introductions, a lot of the media relations, talking with media folks like you. Coming up with the plans of how to introduce new products to the market and concentrating on the United States. Work closely with subsidiaries like our parent company here in Japan, the folks in Canada, Australia, Europe, all of those, but we concentrate on what happens in the U.S.
Well, that was a good question.
What do you do? We don't know who all the people are from America, so I know who the Australia guys are. But why is it a lot of the time that a lot of the box art changes from the Japanese version? Do you know why? I'm not sure if that's your area or not.
It's not really my area, but obviously, we'll do something that we think is right for our market. So sometimes it could be, packaging itself is different from market to market. And then, for instance, if it's, I know on N64 we had more of a horizontal skew to the box versus Japan was more vertical. So artwork would change. There are different things that we want to feature, different art styles. So it's really what fits within a market.
Well, no, it's interesting because we've been going around Akihabara and some of the other game stores, and we see some of the box art in Japan in comparison to the U.S. And I think it's actually cool and weird.
Yeah,
It just seems to be a little bit more darker. In the Sin and Punishment, well, that's different. Even like Zelda or even Sight Bike that we saw, it was just totally different.
Yeah.
It's also cool because it's different. If we were used to that, we'd probably see the American one and go, whoa, look at that.
That's true. Yeah, and probably people from here go over there like what we have.
Speaking of Sin and Punishment, even though that everything here is GameCube, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance, when we talked to you at E3, we asked you about Sin and Punishment, and we're still curious. Is there still a chance at all that it could come to the U.S. before the GameCube launch, or would it be a project like Animal Forest or even like Debusa Bancho or whatever, or even Doshin that would get bumped to GameCube?
I honestly don't know what the plans are for that right now as far as N64 in the States. We're, from a first-party perspective, have really backed off. Our efforts are focused on GameCube. So we have no plans, certainly not before the launch of GameCube, to bring it out. So it's not on our schedule. And as far as what the future would be in North America, I'd have to ask, but not on any schedules at this point.
Are there any chances that game could come to GameCube?
I don't know. It's not something I've heard of, so I do not know.
Okay. A couple other questions. I know I asked you this yesterday, but I totally forgot just because my mind was a little full of everything.
Your shoulder?
Yeah, my shoulder. Peter hit me and my shoulder went out. But as far as the U.S. launch is concerned, when the systems come out, the release date got bumped back. And at launch, what colors will be available in the U.S.?
Indigo,
Okay.
which is what you have all been seeing and have seen from day one. So indigo, and then we'll also introduce a jet black, and then we'll have controllers in those colors. And there are two different controllers that we'll also have. One is a half indigo, half transparent, which may be on the show floor. I think you can see samples of it. And then the other one that we're calling Spice, which is the orange. But as far as the hardware colors, two hardware colors, and probably about a 50-50 split for numbers. It's not on our launch plans for right now. Whether we bring it to the U.S., we'll kind of see what happens, get through our initial launch, and then go from there. But it is, I think in Japan it's due in I think in Japan they're just going to introduce Indigo to start, and then come out with the 2 additional colors later this year.
Later on, but it's still unknown
For
launch. So it'll just be blue or indigo.
For Japan, yes.
Japan, and then
The 2 other ones will
jet
come
black
out.
and then spice
I want to say
later
they
on.
wanted, yeah, it's in their materials. I think it was November.
Okay.
But within this calendar year, it's just not initially at launch.
What about the controllers at launch for Japan? Do you know?
Should be the same. I'd have to double check. But what they're showing down on the show floor is the same array of those 4 colors.
Is Nintendo mainly focusing on the indigo? Is that their main color, would you say?
When you say, do you mean here in Japan or in
I
the
guess
U.S.?
both, looking at both views.
Well, I mean, we started because that was the first one we showed a year ago, so certainly that's the kind of look that people have gotten used to, just by function of that was what was out there. But I think in the U.S. market, you'll start now that we've introduced or announced that we'll have 2 color systems, you're going to start seeing images of both. And I don't think it's that we're going to push one over the other. It's just you've gotten used to seeing one, because that's just what we've had.
They're all indigo and the other 2 are limited edition or anything.
No. And again, I'm speaking to the North American market, so it'll be probably about a 50-50 split as far as shipments go. So of the 2.
I've got a question regarding that, actually. So are there any other plans to bring out any other colors in the North American market in the future, or is the jet black and indigo pretty much it for now?
It's it for right now, but not to say something else. Right? I mean, look at what we've done with all of systems in the past, basically, between Game Boy, Game Boy Color.
Come out or anything.
We're going to spend $200 and all of a sudden have to buy another one completely.
No, we got to get through our launch. Let us get through the launch, and then we'll see what happens. It's a good philosophy to have.
And
So bad,
Did you see did you go to Pokemon
he bought the
Center?
Celebi one. Yeah.
and bad like that.
It's not a bad thing. We love people like you.
Oh, I'm sure. Just my bank account doesn't like it right now. Another thing, I guess, with launch, when do you plan on releasing the Panasonic DVD hybrid?
That's a good question for Panasonic because it is their product. They haven't made any announcements as far as what their U.S. plans are. And, there was talk a while back, I think at E3 time, that they were looking at doing something sort of after, and this would be in the Japan market, after the Japan launch of GameCube, then to come out with something. But I don't know what their latest plans are because it's something that they will market and sell separately.
Okay, so mainly just a Panasonic thing.
Yeah.
Even though GameCube hardware is
It's the type of thing we, sell them or work with them as far as the game component of that. But as far as the system itself, it's a Panasonic system.
seeing as that the GameCube is a mainly it can be a multiplayer system with 4 players. You're going to have a lot of people buying 4 controllers to play Smash or even Super Monkey Ball or Wave Race or whatever. People are going to want to buy 4 controllers off the bat. But then you also have Wavebird. When do you guys plan on releasing Wavebird?
Don't have a launch date for that yet. Probably not going to be this year.
Okay.
Looking towards next year. Okay, making sure the technology's right, everything's good. So again, we'll get out there first with what we have, and that's something down the road.
I don't suppose you know anything about launch dates for Australia or what colours or anything, prices.
I don't think there's anybody here from Australia, so it's probably...
I'm going there next week, so I guess I'll have to ask them.
What about any of the cabling or anything like that? Because I noticed in the press kit, the only thing that was really available was just the normal AV cable, CAC adapter, and that was about it for the launch plans in the
It's
US.
the component video cable that you can get through our consumer service. Which is
There's nothing digital video or anything like that that's coming out of Japan at all.
No, because I want to say, and I'm not very good at my cables, because one of them really isn't applicable to the US, because we just don't have the TVs to even support that yet. But I think component video, if you've got a high definition TV, you'd want to use that. But
Will the games display in 16:9? Will they do that? Because I know with the PlayStation games, they'll display in 16:9 for the widescreen TVs when you hook a component video up to it.
I'll have to find out. I haven't seen.
I haven't Sony displayed that one either. And I know it's capable of it, so it'd be interesting to know.
When GameCube comes out this November, now it's delayed, 2 weeks. What will exactly be in the box? When a consumer opens a box, what will be in it?
The instruction manual,
Okay.
probably a couple, flyers, a hardware system, a controller, the AC adapter, so you can plug it into the wall,
Okay.
and let's see what else. AV cable.
So just the straight AV
Yeah.
cable. Okay.
Yeah.
But people will be able to buy the different cables. You don't know if people will be able to buy the different cables at launch.
Like the RF adapter or the S-video?
It would be the component video cable, and that is something you can get through our consumer service. You call and get that. RF, there are a lot of.
Still use the old Nintendo 64?
Yeah.
Nintendo.
Yeah, so the same one that worked for your SNES, like the S-video stuff.
Original.
Yep.
So yeah, there's no reason to
Cables are the
rebuy
same.
it.
Yeah, cables are the same.
I'm all set.
$30 my RF
Well,
cable.
that answers my earlier question then anyway.
But if you're still using an RF cable, I think you need to get a
The new TV,
so you
right.
can really enjoy the system. It's really not built designed for
Well,
that.
it's good to have one through the RF and one through the AV. Then you don't have to switch back and forth if you've got more than one console. And then one through the VCR, and then the aerials through
It's
that.
not the one designed for the RF.
GameCube's going to go straight in.
Yeah.
When did the advertising materials really start hitting the store, like the displays and the systems where you can start playing them?
More, things will start heating up in the September, and then certainly into October, November.
People are
Yeah.
excited to finally get the average consumer wants to play this and compare it, especially with Xbox still supposedly launching on November 8th. They're going to want to see the difference here.
And as we get into the fall, and I think Peter talked about this yesterday, that it's looking at what we did for Game Boy Advance with kind of that 8-week lead up, which worked really well. And that's most consumers will make their decisions in that time.
Regarding the Xbox launch, are there any new plans, since the system itself has been delayed, on kind of combating the Xbox launch, since it supposedly is coming out earlier than the GameCube
Our
now?
focus has always remained the same, and just because we shifted dates, really by
Doesn't
about
matter.
13 days, now we're excited. It'll be a fun fall.
What was the main reason for the delay of launch?
Really just so that we were ensured that we would have a nice big number of systems that would come out. We, in effect, because we condensed it, we'll have about 700,000 units on launch day.
So,
So,
and then how about to
1.1 million
that's
that we'll bring in.
700,000.
Yeah. So our overall number hasn't changed. It's just it allowed us to control that flow a little bit better so that, we weren't going to end up in situations like our competitors have been in the past where, you've got a little lull there at the most important time of year and you don't have a product.
People in the US.
Yeah.
A certain
So,
system.
so,
I don't remember what system
Right. And I know it's mostly the retailers that have to do with it, but as for pre-sales, are the retailers going to be able to have enough time ahead of time to be able to reserve their amount of systems that the consumers are going to be able to pre-sell? Is Nintendo going to be allowing the
we're not really
retailers ahead of time?
pushing a pre-sale program. It's more of what we'll call a pre-awareness program. More of a pre-awareness. To really get out there. It's more on get the news out there, get, POP materials, hands-on trial, that stuff, as opposed to pushing a pre-sale program.
I understand that, but are you going to allow the retailers to put in their basic orders much ahead of time so that they can do the kind of pre-sales, or is it going to be...
That conversations have all been going on for quite a while,
Okay.
so that's something that goes on,
pretty much constantly?
regardless of
I
a
had my
pre-sale
pre-sale
program.
for N64 like a year before launch.
Yeah. And that's, whether retailers do that or not, that doesn't affect, when it comes down to, allocating product.
Right.
So that's why we'd much rather push sort of pre-awareness and not this hardcore pre-sale program.
Right.
Yeah.
Because awareness right now, at least, when I walk into a mall and stuff, you'll see Xbox displays.
Yeah.
Maybe once in a while I see a poster. I think there's just the one saying POP poster that's out there right now. So you're saying like September, October, that's when we should see
Our
more?
stuff will heat up, yeah. And that's really when it matters, because that's, again, you're getting closer to launch, people are making their decisions. Doing something 6 months ahead of time, this stuff just gets thrown away, new products coming in, it doesn't really help the retailers because they don't have product to sell yet. So it's really get that more concentrated effort.